Come explore the unknown and enter the Chamber of Shadows, a podcast for the dark, haunted, and mysterious. I am your host, Celine, and I am joined with my co host, Endora. Say hi, Endora.
Good morning, spooky. Sorry. I feel like my voice already sounds like that because I just woke up. Good evening, spooky fam.
Yeah. For anybody who doesn't know, this is the earliest we've ever recorded, and it's currently 8:55 a.m.
It's ridiculous. We are ridiculous. Okay.
Yeah, I look like the undead right now. But yeah. How we doing? How we
Everything's
doing?
cool. Everything's cool. I mean, morning's all right, I guess. My dogs seem to enjoy it.
They're like, "Hell yeah, mom's awake." Oh my god. Well, it's been 2 weeks?
Yeah, tell everybody about your trip to Ireland.
Oh, well, it was just the loveliest place in the world.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go back. The grass is I like the pictures do it no justice. They do it no justice.
You should share some of your pictures when you share. Did I send you stuff to share about this episode, right?
Yes.
You should share some of your pictures on our socials.
Oh, I could totally do that.
Yeah. Yeah, especially since
I
you're
can
home then there's nobody robbing your house.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, um, no, I had a scare there right before I left because, one of my dogs was sick, but he just decided to magically get better, like, the night before, basically, I was leaving.
Right on.
Still on edge with that.
That's all
Still
right.
on
He's a
edge.
champ. He's a champ. That's all.
He's something. He's something. Oh, Lord. But no, it was so beautiful. And I loved the culture. I enjoyed the West Coast much more than the city, but I am not a city person. I can see why people say, spend maybe 2, maybe 3 days in Dublin. If you're going to Dublin, plan that stuff ahead. I knew we weren't gonna do the Guinness or Jameson tours, but if you are, plan it ahead. If you're going to see the jail that they have in town, plan that way ahead, because
Is
that's where
it
I went wrong.
is it big like a penitentiary or like Ohio State or no?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's just, like, one of their old jails. I think.
Oh,
I don't know because I didn't not me yawning.
rude.
Yeah, right? I didn't even see it. So, but yeah, I would have loved to have seen Malahide Castle. It just Dublin was nice in a way that, like, I felt safer and I liked it more than, like, a Charlotte or a New York City kind of thing, more than
You
a Columbus.
you felt safer than felt out in Ireland proper, climbing
No.
climbing cliff ledges. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I did
Yeah,
that.
don't send me pictures of that anymore. Don't do that anymore. That was terrifying to me.
Yeah, I did that. No, I felt safer than I do here, like, in cities, if
Oh,
that
yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, but aside from that, I just preferred the West Coast. It was much more
Yeah.
beautiful and scenic and relaxed.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like down south here. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Like, I got a comparable feeling. I actually was thinking about that because I was like, "Man, I sure do love it here, but I love where I'm at too, and the weather's a little nicer where I currently
Oh,
live."
no.
Yeah,
Oh,
but,
she's gonna go live in a castle.
I might. Nobody needs to be testing me with that. I might. But, what are we doing today?
Well, we're I'll tell you about it. Um, David Paulides is a former police detective with 20 plus years of experience. Over that time, he worked patrol, SWAT, and the street crime unit before being promoted to detective. This is the man behind the investigations of the 10-book series spanning from 2011 to 2020 and the 3 documentaries, Missing 411 in 2017, Missing 411: The Hunted in 2019, Missing 411: UFO Connection in 2022, and that was the last we've heard of David. Um, Tonight we will be exploring the phenomenon of mysterious disappearances of persons in our national parks, forests, and federally owned land. Come into the chamber and let's talk about the missing 411. Yay! So, for sure, this is so big that we're going to have to do at least one other episode. I'm sure we'll probably do more than that.
Oh, yeah. We'll probably this might you know what? This might be a new little series we could do.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yep.
Because we've talked about how we wanna read his books. I think that would give us maybe even a different view than watching things or even listening to him talk. But, yeah,
Yeah, he
you
describes it as delving way deeper into the cases
yeah,
than the movie series does. What I'm
okay,
doing today is based off of multiple coast to coast interviews that David did and the first 2 documentaries that he put out. So, that's
okay,
where I got all my information today.
okay. I love me some Missing 411.
Well, I was only vaguely familiar with it before I started. I had an idea of
Oh,
what it
really?
was. Yeah, I had an idea of what it was, and I had heard some of as I'm reading these uh I'm sorry, as not as I'm reading, as I'm watching these cases, I'm like, "Oh, oh, I know that case. Oh, I know that case too."
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and he is very particular about, like, there is certain criteria that needs
Mhm,
to be
mhm, mhm.
met.
Yep, we're gonna go over that. Yeah,
Yeah, so, it's not just everybody who goes missing in national parks, like, that's
right.
not what it is.
Yeah.
So, it's very interesting. I'm so happy we get to start this.
Me
Yeah.
too. Okay. Um, the subject of the missing 411 cases are not typical lost hikers or rare animal attacks. There are some very specific criteria to be met in order to be included in David Paulides' case files. Not every case is marked by all of these characteristics, but they must meet multiples to get on the list. Um, let's go over that list of criteria.
Okay.
Point of separation. The individual goes missing from another individual or group. This can be as minimal as the victim just slightly ahead on a trail, or stepping out of sight for a moment, or a child stepping behind a tree, or a hunter vanishing from companions just feet away. Time of disappearance. Often victims disappear in the late afternoon. 4 p.m. is seen frequently, interestingly enough.
Oh.
So get your tail out of the woods by 4 o'clock.
Yeah, literally. Literally.
Search and rescue. Little to no evidence is found. Victims have been found in areas already searched and combed multiple times, even months or years later. Canine failure. It is common for trained search dogs to be unable to catch a scent. Sometimes these well trained dogs behave agitated or fearful. Missing clothing. The victim can be found without clothing, which is usually in juxtaposition to survival.
Mhm.
Sometimes only a single item, like a shoe or a hat, is all that is found. This one's really interesting to me. Boulder fields and water. Many
Oh, yes.
disappearances happen near or in association to a boulder field, body of water, patches, or swamps.
Yes. The boulder fields were because I learned about that probably sometime last year. I was listening to him on a podcast, and he said that, and I was like, "God, that's really like, boulder fields?"
Yeah.
Like,
Yes. Yep.
water doesn't surprise me, but, like, just boulder fields?
Well, yeah, I mean, and you hear those things and you're like, well, sure, somebody can get lost in a swamp and eaten by a gator. Like, of course
Right.
that can happen, but that's not really what's happening.
Right.
It's,
Right.
yeah, it's just not. Weather phenomenon, a reoccurring theme is also a sudden, unusual, and or extreme change in weather when search efforts are just starting. A big thunderstorm will roll in or a big snowstorm will roll in, something like really crazy just out of nowhere. Silence. This one's the creepiest one to me. No scream or cry for help is heard. It is also reported in some case that the woods go totally quiet. No bird or wildlife sounds at all. Physical and mental health. Disabilities or illnesses and characteristics that set them apart from most people are frequently found, and we'll talk about that a little bit, belonging to the victims. Also, not a disability, but the missing person is also often very young or very old. A lot. State of the found individuals, if they are found alive, they often have no memory of the time that they were missing. If they are found deceased, the conditions often defy explanation and or the coroner cannot determine the cause of death. So that refers to what the coroner's findings, but also I just looked there. I was literally just there yesterday and he wasn't there and
Right.
here he is decomposing and dead today. Like that doesn't
Right.
make any sense. Geographical clustering. This is like the number one gripe that I have about all of this. Clustering refers to areas that 411 cases and their strange circumstances, aka profile points, happen most frequently. The largest area of clustering is Yosemite.
Hmm.
Mhm. It is really interesting. No part of the criteria, or I'm sorry, not part of the criteria, but interesting to note. The most common sex is male to go missing, and the most common heritage is German descent.
Yes, I did know that as well.
Wow. Yeah, I did not know that. But it's super common.
Yeah.
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 I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, I'm unsure exactly what I think about that because so many Americans are of German descent. Like, is that why? Or
I don't know because I don't know how I mean, you were going over those, and I came up with 4 of the missing 411 cases in my head, um, because like, it's just I'm interested to see which ones you picked, but I do know there was one of, like, a German who came specifically over and was hiking and disappeared.
physicist, the physicist, is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
We've got yeah, I I've heard of 2 of those so far. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
so I don't know if it's more, like, rather than descent, but, like, more direct descent, I guess. Does that
like
make sense of what I'm
like
trying to say?
straight off the boat, you mean? Like
Yeah,
yeah.
like, if it's closer rather than being like, "Well, my ancestors are from Germany."
Right,
You know what I mean?
right, right.
Yeah.
Like, every time somebody meets me and they're like, "Oh, you're Irish." "Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
well, duh."
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes more sense to me. Yeah,
yeah.
okay. David started this series after being approached by 2 forest rangers. They told him about a series of national forest missing person cases. Both rangers had worked on these cases in multiple parks and discovered that There were consistencies between these cases, but when they tried to delve deeper, their efforts were thwarted and they were discouraged. Afraid of losing their jobs, they decided to hand all of their information over to David. From there, David has gone over more than 5,000 case files and been able to file 1,200 plus cases into the missing 411 categories.
Yeah. Yeah, it's insane.
Here are some of those cases. We'll start with Bobby Bizup. He disappeared from Estes Park, Colorado, August 15th, 1958. Right at the edge of the Rocky Mountain National Park is a Catholic kids camp retreat called Camp St. Malo. Bobby, a 10-year-old boy, was partially deaf and wore hearing aids. Bobby was fishing behind the retreat when the camp counselor came to tell him dinner was ready. He gathered up his stuff and was following the counselor on the path right behind him. The counselors the counselor turned to say something to Bobby. Bobby was gone on the path, just gone. For 10 days, 400 searchers, dogs, planes, and helicopters were deployed. They searched and researched systematically. They found nothing. No sign of a struggle, drag marks, accident, or anything of Bobby's at all, including his fishing gear. Just like that. The following year, 3 counselors returned from the year before. They found a boulder field 2,000 feet above the retreat where Bobby's hearing aid and pieces of clothing lay. Later that day, they found Bobby's remains in a ravine on the face of Mount Meeker. The ravine had been searched no less than 3 times. This was not a toddler getting lost due to confusion and lack of understanding. This was a 10-year-old boy. Uphill is exhausting and treacherous. Downhill, dinner is served with his buddies. Yeah. R.I.P.
Y
Bobby.
yeah, they found with missing 411 that these children will make, like, the most treacherous hikes, like,
Oh, yeah.
things that are not and, like, the distance in
Mhm.
and of itself, let alone some of these, like, ups and downs that they're going through is, like, wow.
Got you.
Like,
Yeah, I
a
got you.
ton of miles
Yes, crazy. Mhm. Yep.
for children. Like, I'm
Yeah,
not doing all that,
right.
but
Right, and
like,
also
5 or
never made
6-year-old
a
is?
sound, never made a sound. We're just walking
Right.
along and all of
Gone.
a sudden, "Zip, where is he?"
Gone.
I don't know where he went. I looked everywhere, yeah, and then
Yeah.
400 people came, and they also looked everywhere,
Mhm.
even where he was found. Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Similar situation, much smaller child. Keith Parkinson I'm sorry, Keith Parkins, is 2 years old. He went missing April 10th, 1952, Ritter, Oregon. I just wanted to go back on the latest on the in the Wayback Machine to some cases so everybody didn't think that this was something that just started happening in the 2000s.
Yeah.
So I covered another case, from the Wayback Machine. Edna Parkins brought her children to her parents for an Easter visit in 1952. Easter was early that year and there was a bit of snow. Edna's parents raised cattle, leasing a ranch from the Bureau of Management. There was a new calf, and the 3 boys were excited to go see. They all went together as their mama made lunch. The 2 older boys came in, and Edna asked about Keith. He's coming. He went the long way around the barn. He's 2. Mama went out. Everyone went out to go collect him up, but he could not be found. Edna remembers being so grateful for everyone that came to search, which included almost everyone in town. She remembers that it was much later that they told her he had passed through a herd of cattle, which is super dangerous. That's really
Yeah.
dangerous. That's where they found his footprints. Keith's journey from the barn to where his shoe prints were found was 3 miles, just as the crow flies. His body was found 5 additional miles from there. 12 miles in total in under 18 hours for a 2-year-old, not as the crow flies, but struggling through rugged, rocky terrain. Edna recalls that they said he was face down in the snow and that his little body was stiff and couldn't move. She saw his little scratched up face. His coat and overalls were torn, likely from the barbed wire fencing. His father was about 200 yards from where they had found him at 7 a.m. He ran and picked him up. He was alive. He had frostbite and no other injuries. Over the years, Keith would visit his family in Ritter. People would say, glad you made it, buddy. I helped look for you. Um,
Okay.
when people ask him about it, he says, the cat did it. He has no memory of answering that question or anything else that happened that Easter. Well, he was 2. So
Yeah.
I also have a hard time remembering things from when I was 2.
When I was 2, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So that's a long way for a 2-year-old to go
yeah.
in very dangerous terrain. Yeah,
Yeah.
through cows, and these are not dairy cows that do the electric slide into their milking
Yeah,
machines. These
right.
are beef
Right.
cattle that are buck
I'm
wild.
assuming Angus,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
not yeah, very, very different temperament, not yeah.
yeah. Well, I
Uh-huh.
mean, they just let them run, so they don't have any manners. They don't need any.
Yeah.
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 Yes.
God.
The next case is Aaron Hedges, 38 years old, missing September 5th, 2014, from the Crazies in Montana. Have you ever heard of the
Oh,
Crazies?
no.
Me neither. So the Crazies are a mountain range in Montana, approximately 300 million years younger than the Rocky Mountain Range. So they're really wild. Like, they haven't had a chance to wear down really at all.
Okay.
Created by a geological upthrust, isolated and mostly shale, sharp as a knife. The Crazies and the land around them are typically inhabited by deer, elk, grizzlies, and some wolves. On September 5th, 2014, Aaron, a well experienced hunter and outdoorsman, and 2 of his friends that he hunted with regularly, like every other weekend, set out for Campfire Lake. And the Crazies planning to be there for 7 days. At some point on their way up, one of the mules spooked and bucked, and all of Aaron's supplies went over the edge. He wasn't too worried because these boys were there so much that they had a stash of items for just such an emergency. Once they got to the lake, they dropped their stuff off. Aaron was headed up a ways to the stash at Sunlight Lake first, since he lost his sleeping bag. The other 2 fellas started hunting. So they each had these GPS walkie talkies called Garmin Rhinos. The Garmin had an LED screen that showed the location of the hunters. So all 3 of them could see where the other ones were. Later in the day, they reached out to Aaron and got no response. It did, however, reveal that he was well past the fork in the trail where he was supposed to turn to get his lakeside stash. A fork is very obvious there. Even more confusing, the trail starts to follow a creek at the fork, so there would be no way that he missed it. So it's the trail and the fork is there, and right where the fork is, that's where the creek comes in right next to the trail. So you would know as soon as you saw, oh,
Yeah.
it's time. Okay, I got to turn. He knows the mountains like the back of his hand, according to his buddies. They thought he might be following an elk or something and spent most of the next day waiting for him at camp. When he didn't show, about midday, they began looking for him. Then comes the snowstorm, 18 to 24 inches over the next 12 hours. Then the temps dipped down to the teens. They were forced to abandon their search. They called Park County Sheriff Department and the big search began. It had start it had started to warm up a little by the time they were ready, and they didn't waste any time. Aaron had already been missing 2 days. 2 dog teams were deployed via chopper. They would start high and work their way down. One team found Aaron's boots set side by side and a water bladder. Just down from a severe just down from
It's fine.
several
You're struggling, and then Chance starts drinking out of the toilet, so I'm like
just down from, just down from several loose boulder fields is all I was trying to say, above the falls. Not too far was a fire pit and a half-smoked cigarette, Aaron's brand. They also found 2 waist belts from a backpack, which none of the searchers could figure why you would ever even remove that. Because if you wanted to unclip it, you could just unclip it.
Yeah.
You don't have to take it off. It won't surprise you to hear that his friends had just searched there 2 days ago. It wasn't looking good for Aaron, and the search team was starting to think hypothermia. The dogs didn't hit on anything past the boots, so the boots were all they found. They didn't find anything else. So there is a thing with hypothermia that I only learned recently in, I don't
Mhm.
know, the last few years, that you are so cold that you start taking your clothes off. I guess
Yes.
it's the psychological aspect of it. I'm not sure, but
No, I'm glad you
it's a
said that
thing.
because I was just thinking that when you said it because I have also heard that.
Mhm.
But I don't remember if it was a psychological thing or if there was supposed to be, like, an actual good reason behind it. I can't remember. But I've heard of people doing that with
Yes.
hypothermia.
Yep. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. They talk about that a lot. D- over Dyatlov Pass. They talk about that
Yes.
a lot.
Oh, and that they do. That case will be covered.
Right on. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
will
It
be
definitely
covering that.
will. That was a really good one.
Yeah.
The following spring, 6 miles away from Aaron's boots, a cattle rancher was doing maintenance on his fencing. He found an orange vest. When he bent over to pick it up, he also found a backpack leaning nicely against a tree. Everyone in town was aware that Aaron had gotten lost last fall. Everybody helped in the search, including this rancher. His hunting license was in his backpack. It also contained snack bars, a lighter, his loaded 44 Ruger, and his bow. All set down nicely. Not far away was a thermos and cup. Next to that was an open energy drink. The rancher said it looked like someone just sat down and had a nice cup of tea. From this point along the ridge, you can clearly see a road and buildings. So from where he was sitting there on, they call it a bench, but it's like a little ridge. From where
Yeah.
he was sitting there, he could see that he didn't need rescued. He needed to walk just a couple more feet, you know.
And how long this
Or
was
I
how
guess
many
it
how
would
long?
probably be more like yards, but yeah, to the road. This is 6 months, so this is the following spring. So that happened,
Okay.
yeah, in September, and
Okay.
this is the spring. I'm not sure. I don't have a
Okay.
date. 1 year later, a rancher does what he calls dude rides. One of the guests, while on the dude ride, found found a human skull under a dead tree. It was placed there ornamentally, like for Halloween. After searching a bit, they found the rest of Aaron's remains minus his feet. His cell
Which
phone,
is also common.
mhm. His cell phone, a thin jacket, no pants. Coroner's cause of death, undetermined.
Are they confident that his things in the spring that they saw were his? Like, it was confirmed that those were his
Yeah,
things,
his
or it
hunting
was just
license was in there,
was in there?
and this is his skull. So, yeah, yep, mhm.
I don't know, do you know how long it takes a human body to decompose fully like that?
Well, I know it was September, and I know that cold keeps things, um keeps things fresh.
Right.
So it was pretty cold there, but we're all the way down to the skull. I mean, you could blame that on predation. You definitely
Yeah.
could, but however, um, they ate him and then they placed his skull under a tree, just like sit there real nice. Doesn't seem likely. Um,
Well, because for me, it becomes the question of, like, was somebody else using his things? Or was it him and for some reason he succumbed to something rather than I don't know why he would stay out there and not you know what I mean?
it makes
Unless
no
that was his
sense.
goal.
It makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
Most of the people involved in Aaron's case believe that he suffered from hypothermia clear back at the falls. That's why they found his boots. But how did he travel 6 miles across sharp shale and 2 feet of snow with no boots? Why was he still carrying his bow? I mean, that's heavy. I don't know. Why did he still have food in his backpack?
Yeah.
Why didn't he shoot Oh, also, did you know if you shoot that like, that's a sign that you are in distress in the woods. If you have a
The
firearm
flare?
and you shoot boom, boom, boom 3 times, that's a
Yes, I
sign
think I
of
did know that.
distress. That's like, "Coming somebody please come help me." Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, how did he not realize that he had gone too far when he started down the trail that was followed by the creek? It almost seems like something happened so fast, like, before he even got to to the fork in the road.
Is it possible that he wanted to disappear?
So, the cases that I did today were all happy people with happy lives, no indication
Yeah.
of anything. These guys go out there every other weekend.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, that's even more than, saying it would be, "Oh, it would be ridiculous for, um, Celine to get lost in Gettysburg. She's been there 27 times." Well, this is even
That's
more
fair.
than that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Crazy.
It's the fact of, like, when you look at the details, right? Because people can say, like I just did, "Okay, well, maybe he wanted to get lost." Okay, well, the details that you can't just overlook are the fact that his boots were how far away, and, at that point, you're talking about, like you said, him walking barefoot over treacherous terrain,
I mean, there's a reason there that
and then his feet are gone.
yeah, all these animals that live there have hooves except the grizzly bear. Like, everything there has hooves. Why? Because it's shale. Like, they can't
Yeah,
walk you can walk on it if it wasn't.
yeah, yeah,
So, I mean, I don't understand really how this
yeah.
occurred. The National Park Service has repeatedly declined David's requests to be interviewed.
Mhm.
David's formal FOIA request for a list of missing people from the National Park Service was met with an interesting reply. No such list exists, and to deliver one would cost $1.4 million. Dollars. What? Get out of here.
Yeah,
What are you even saying right now?
yeah,
They take pictures of everything when you go into a national forest. Don't try
yeah,
to tell me that you don't know who's missing, that you guys don't have a list. Don't tell me that. It's a lie.
right, right,
Heidi Steetman, a college professor and outdoor enthusiast, has started a petition back in 2022. The petition is designed to make the Department of Interior accountable for persons in our national forests, national parks, and federally owned public land. The petition requires a national publicly accessible database to create in which all missing persons are accounted for in the US, national parks and forests, and on BLM land, which is the Bureau of Land Management. That's that rancher land and stuff.
Yeah.
The purpose is to make our government accountable for keeping records and reporting these missing persons, to inform the public of the facts surrounding the missing person cases on public land, and also to keep account of all missing individuals and circumstances under which they went missing on public land. We are happy to share the link. I sent it to you so we can share it.
Yeah.
Um, to signing this petition on all our socials, where you can find all things Chamber of Shadows on IG, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. I signed. You should too.
Yeah, I'll sign for sure.
Yeah,
I think that's what's weird to me too is the national parks are not open about this.
not at all. Not at all. The searchers are.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in the very beginning, I talked about the people that talked to David to begin with, um, because they felt like they
They're
were
like,
going to
"Hey,
get
weird things
fired.
are going on here." Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, well, it's not that, so go do your job."
Right.
Right. Yeah.
But it's like, okay, well, is it because it's something which I guess this brings in the perfect time to kind of talk about theories here about what could be going on, and obviously we'll bring more cases to the table and continue to talk through it, but, I've heard things like they're walking into a different dimension.
Right.
I've heard about that, where they just, like, take a step and they're just somewhere else.
Mhm.
I've heard about the underground tunnels and, whoever is in those underground tunnels making use of that.
Mhm.
I've heard of, the government having something to do with it.
Mhm.
I don't know why they would just it like that. Honestly, that doesn't make very much sense to me. What I feel like is something is going on that is abnormal or supernatural, whatever it might be, and they don't want us to know. That's what I personally think.
I don't disagree. Everything is connected. This is our government being our government, and this is not, a left or right, red or blue issue. This
Right,
is not that because well, I'm sure there's some that go further back, but I went back to 1952. So this is
right.
everybody. Everybody
Yeah,
is hiding something, and I feel like they just keep cracking the door a little bit. You wanna see a little something?
right.
You wanna see a little something? I think they're trying to let us down easy. And recently, we just heard I'm sure you saw it on your socials, that congressman that said he knows what's going on with the UAPs, and he if we knew what he knows, we would be absolutely terrified. He said it would break down the structure of the United States, I think. I'm loosely
What's
repeating what he
UAP?
said. UFOs?
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
He said he sat in a briefing and he was terrified and he's not at liberty to discuss it. Somebody else was discussing it, but I don't think they were at the meeting. I think it was like secondhand information to them. And so they went to this congressman and they were like, hey, bruh, like, do you know about this? And he's like, yeah, I know about it and I can't talk about it. And if you knew about it, it would tear apart the interior of our country.
Well, and I think that's another important, I guess, thing to think about is in some of these cases, would it be beneficial for us to know?
Information is power, and as long as somebody holds information that we don't have, it's not cool, dude.
Yeah.
It's not cool.
But do you think it would cause mass hysteria?
Uh, I don't know if there's many people left who would be shocked.
Yeah, that's
at
fair.
this point.
Well, it's it's like when this when the submersible exploded and everybody's, like, so hyper fixated that the government's like, "Hey, yeah, by the way, aliens are real," and we're like, "Yeah, we already knew that." Like,
Yeah.
"What about the submersible?"
We've been trying to
Like
tell you. I don't know.
right,
Yeah. Yes.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
I just the only way I can, like, I guess, see it differently is if it caused mass hysteria and people are just, like, absolutely losing it, because there are some people who would go freaking AWOL. Like, I I don't know, but I do agree that knowledge is power, and it is I mean, I wanna know.
Right. Right. I did find it also interesting that our vice president said openly the other day, I think it was a couple weeks ago, I don't believe that they're UFOs. I believe that they're demons.
Oh,
He just
okay.
flat out said that. So, which I don't know if I've told you this before, but the church that I grew up in was very Southern, very Baptist, and had very stringent ideas about things. And they told us, since I was a little girl, they told us that when the rapture comes, they're going to blame it on UFOs. But that's not what it is. They've been telling me that for 60 years. So,
Like, I wanna
yeah,
know what the church and government know that we fucking don't.
everything, everything.
Like, ugh.
Yeah. So, then it started making me think that our vice president either went to a church like the one I grew up in.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Or was it did he come to that conclusion on his own? Unsure. Don't know.
Well, and to, like, state that they're gonna blame it on UFOs is so specific.
Yeah. Yeah. It does it would explain a lot of things though, wouldn't it? If the rapture came and they didn't, all of the anti God people or Satanists or I don't know what they are. That I don't claim to know that I know anything about them, but it would be interesting for people that don't believe in God to say, well, of course it was UFOs. They've been telling us all along.
Yeah. But it's such like UFOs, if we break down what a UFO is, it's just an unidentified flying object.
Yep.
Is it alien? Is it a different country? Is it something else that we aren't even thinking about? We don't know.
Right.
We don't know.
Right. Yeah. Not a clue. But it's all connected. Everything always is.
Yeah. I
Everything
mean,
always is connected.
it's just so strange to me. It's because if it's Bigfoot, then just say it's Bigfoot.
Right. Right. Well, I did
Like, just
talking about the silence, no screams or cries, and at times it's noted that there's no wildlife sounds either, does remind me of multiple people that have seen Bigfoot that I've spoken to have said that the woods go quiet
mhm.
and then they smell something and then they see something. So the silence makes me wonder, I don't know, is Bigfoot opening a portal to get here or to leave and it just doesn't close and then oops, somebody just walks through it?
Right.
But why are their belongings coming back in the way that they're coming back? I mean, one guy that I heard about, he just his stuff was just sitting on a log. It was just sitting on a log place in a place, this was like I want to say a couple years later. Um It's just sitting on a log place that they had searched multiple times. People had hiked through multiple times. It's crazy.
I one of the cases, which I'm not gonna say too much about it because I do wanna cover it. One of the missing 411 cases was a guy who was hiking, I think he was mountain climbing, and he was, like, behind his friends, and it's the same thing, like, just boop, gone.
Yeah.
Like, his footsteps just stopped in the
Yes.
snow.
Yeah. Yeah. That happens so frequently where the dogs are like, I'm on it, I'm on it, I don't know where it went. Yeah. Don't
Like,
know.
that has to be like, when you th for me, when I think about that, that to me is definitely some kind of interdimensional. What else could it be? Something coming in and grabbing you from up top? Like,
Right. But imagine it being 1952 and you say that to somebody.
right. Well, here's
Yeah.
the thing. Look, here's my brain working. Okay, so we talk about, sure, this guy that I just talked about, his friends turn around, literally, poof, gone. Footsteps in the snow, dead stop. Like nothing. There's a girl, we haven't talked about time slips yet,
Right.
but this is in my time slip stuff. She tells this story on TikTok about how she was skiing with her friends, and when she rounded the one bend, everybody was gone. And so she talks about her way of getting back, and eventually she actually does, and she makes it back, and everybody's like, "Oh, hey, there you are." And she's like, "So, like, nobody wanted to talk about the fact that I've been gone for hours?
Right.
Nobody reported me missing?" Like, so it's things like that. That's what makes me think that maybe there's, I don't know if it's a time slip or if it's an interdimensional thing. Something is going on.
Yeah.
Like, this is not normal.
Right.
Like, there's for me, I can't even think of a logical explanation for this.
No way. Yeah, me neither. No way. Best thing
And
I
if
can come up
anybody,
with is it's a portal that just hasn't shut yet. They must
yeah,
not
and if
slam shut.
anybody can
Yeah.
think of any logical way of explaining some of these, like, I would love to hear it, but
Well, yeah. And if you know about something, if you have experienced something, anything,
yeah.
we wanna know everything. Tell us everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and like we said, this is not the only missing 411 that we're gonna do. I definitely wanna bring some stories to the table of ones that I've heard. We'll probably do, like, a brief, reiteration, just like you did in the beginning, of the criteria
Right.
to fit in, because not everybody who goes missing in national parks, forests, anything like that fits into this. It
Right.
is very, very specific, and that's what makes it weird.
Right. Yeah.
That's what makes it weird. Um,
Oh, shit.
you good?
Yeah, no, I just got a splinter. Okay.
Oh.
I wasn't expecting that to happen. Okay. Um, yeah, yes.
Yeah, so we will continue to delve into this. I would love to get a hold of his books
They're
slowly but surely.
a little spendy, but that's okay. I
Yeah,
mean, we can do it and then we'll write it off for the
and
podcast
yeah, it's totally fine. Totally fine.
for all this money
But
that
other
we're
than,
making.
yeah, literally. God, guys, you'll never believe how much money we made. It's a whole $0. We just enjoy doing this, guys. We have fun, we like
I know,
it.
we want you
It's
guys to
fun for
join in,
us.
and we want you guys to share your stories, and that it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
about missing 411, but boy, if you have some
No.
information about 411, we sure would like to hear it,
Yeah, that'd be great
and
too.
where can they share that with us?
Well, we are on Instagram, we are on TikTok, we are on YouTube, but our Facebook page would probably be the best place to make posts, recommendations, storytelling, if anybody wants to share any stories,
Yeah.
any corrections, absolutely feel free to respectfully
Yeah.
correct
Yeah.
us.
I'm not too proud. Neither is she. It's fine.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're human, we mess up, we are not perfect,
Yeah.
and, this is a lot of research that we're doing, but we're doing the best we can.
We are, and I really thought that so I watched 2 of the 3 documentaries. Some of them were really hard to get through, the watching, uh, parents freak out about their kids, and mourn the
Yeah,
loss of their kids is difficult to watch, but the stories are so interesting, and, I mean, not for nothing, it's a cautionary tale.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. So, caution watching these things, I mean, it is these are people who go through things or go through it and never come back. So, just maintaining respect, keeping that in mind. We wanna bring light to it, but we wanna maintain respect with all of that.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Um
Did you wanna say what you watched? I'm gonna post it. I'm gonna
Yes,
put it, but just so we have a verbal.
I watched the Missing 411, in 2017, and I watched, Missing 411: The Hunted from 2019, and I didn't do the UFO connection because I was like, "Oh, that's gonna be 2 hours by itself," so I definitely
Yeah.
didn't do that. Um, and we haven't got the books yet, we're going to. They're a little spendy. If you guys wanna chip in on that, we're okay with that too.
Yeah. We'll tell you guys
Just joking, I
everything
am
it says, I
so not begging for
promise.
money. I'm sorry.
I am. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
So please let us know if you have any stories, particularly
Yes.
about missing 411. But listen, let's be honest. If it's creepy, we'll listen to it. We definitely will.
Oh, I will listen to
Yeah, and
anything.
and maybe if you're interested, we could bring you on and you could tell the story yourself, and we'll
That would
just
be
yeah, I
amazing.
would love that.
Yeah.
Also, on any of the socials that you use, please like, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
Yes, I never remember to
If
say that.
Yeah, I know, right? Same. If you needed to get in contact with us other than socials or email, it's the chamber of shadows at gmail.com.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for listening. Thanks for returning, or thanks for coming your first time. We hope to see you again.
Yes, we will be back in 2 weeks. And now I've figured out in this episode what I'm
That's
doing.
right.
This is so
I
exciting.
love that story. Of course, it's a sad ending, but I just love it for all its
Yeah.
twists and turns.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, peace out, adios, sayonara. See y'all in 2 weeks.
Bye. See y'all next week. No, see you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.